Okay, let me tell you something no one's really gonna tell you. To be more feminine, you need to be more masculine. And no, like, I'm not telling you to be more controlling or to take more action or to be more dominant, nothing like that. Like, hear me out. I know it sounds whack because if you know you're lacking feminine energy, why would you do the opposite and try to be more masculine? My answer to that is that in order to increase your feminine energy, you can't really like do anything on top of that because feminine energy is just about being and embodying. You can't add more to it. You can't fix it or refine it. So what you can do is create a safe space for it to thrive. And what does that mean? That's where masculine energy comes in, because masculine energy is about systems, it's about structure and safety. So a lot of us who are actually lacking feminine energy, we are lacking masculine energy. If you live in wounded feminine energy, you most certainly also live in wounded masculine energy, because the two work so closely together. You can't actually have healed masculine energy and have wounded feminine energy. They're either both wounded or they're both healed. They work in tandem like that. So honestly, for like a year, I spent so long trying to heal my feminine energy. I knew I lacked it because I knew I didn't really flow with my emotions the way I should. I don't feel at ease. I worry a lot and I'm always in the state of anxiousness. So I knew I lacked feminine energy. I really tried to just do what I saw gurus online teach. Like, they tell you to take care of yourself. They tell you to listen to your emotions more. They tell you to flow, meditate, sit in stillness. But honestly, none of that worked. I just stayed anxious. And that's because I didn't heal my wounded masculine side. Because you can do all the work to try and be and embody and live in your flow. If you try to live in that flow, but your masculine, your structure, your safety is compromised, it will never actually heal. You will just be dropped down back to wounded feminine energy. That's why like a lot of us try so hard to stay in our feminine, but there's no structure, and it might work for like a few days or a few weeks, but at the end there's no permanent structure that actually incubates that energy to allow it to flow and grow and be produced into something fulfilling. I heard this YouTuber say how feminine and masculine energy is like an egg. So in an egg, you have the shell, which is the masculine energy. It is the structure and the support and the safety for the egg inside. That fluid egg white and egg yolk is the creative life force, which is feminine energy. So you need both to create life, to fulfill a goal, to produce something that fulfills you. If you just had the fluidity of the egg without the shell to actually incubate it and support it as it grows, it wouldn't grow. It would just die and dry out or be a blob on the floor. If you had the shell alone with no egg, there would be no life force created from it. It would just be a shell for nothing. So I hope that kind of gives you a picture of how both energies are so needed and they work together to create something into this physical world. Because if you have all that feminine energy, that creative flow, you can have all that flowing through you, but if you don't actually have systems and structures and discipline and responsibility put into place to actually materialize and actualize those ideas and that energy, then it will just be for nothing. Like, that energy will just be there but never actually make it out into the world because you never actually put action and structure and systems out to give birth to it, you know? And that's why I'm saying that when you feel like you're lacking feminine energy, you're actually lacking masculine energy to support it, to actually bring it to life, to give safety to it. So that energy becomes wounded because you don't have that healthy, safe structure to let it feel safe. And I think that a lot of us girls who have like the father wound, aka like daddy issues, a lot of us lack masculine energy. We have very wounded masculine energy from that experience because we've never actually been shown what a healthy masculine figure or energy looks like. Even when you grow up to be an adult, like, yeah, maybe you're not under that same kind of dynamic with your parents, but you become this person that has just never been able to feel worthy of safety, of structure, of consistent love and support. And the way that either our dad or masculine figure has treated us in our whole life, we start to accept that treatment for ourselves, not only from other people, but how we treat ourselves. So you might find that you run into a lot of people who are inconsistent or who are emotionally unavailable. And in turn, you also internalize that and you start doing that to yourself. A lot of us with daddy issues don't show up for ourselves. We aren't disciplined. We don't feel worthy of discipline. We don't even know what that feels like to be consistently shown up for. A lot of us are just wounded girls waiting for somebody to make things right in our life, waiting for someone to show up consistently, to give us structure, to give us that like safety. It either ends up in one or two ways. You either overcompensate and you start being a little too disciplined, a little too action oriented, a little too controlling in your own life, because maybe on paper it looks like you're super masculine and you're super like responsible and disciplined, but I can guarantee you, if you've never healed that trauma from your childhood, a lot of that discipline, a lot of that responsibility that you do, it's sourced from a place of shame because you are trying to actually avoid a bad feeling if you don't do it. So it doesn't even come from self-love, which is what healthy masculine energy comes from. It comes from showing up out of devotion, out of discipline, out of love for wanting the feminine to thrive. But that's not the case. A lot of us who are running from our childhood trauma when it comes to the father wound, we do things for ourselves. For me, I went to the gym a lot. I would be really strict on my routines because I was scared of shame. I was scared of the negative consequences. And over time, you can run like that and you can get a bit of progress, but over time, you start to actually burn out and that whole discipline starts to crumble. You can only run on the feelings of shame for such a long time until your feminine actually starts to increase anxiety, increase restlessness, because there's that gap. It knows it's not coming from a place of love. And when you start feeling that sense of fear from shame, it becomes so loud to the point where you have to stop and question, why do I feel like this? And that's where a lot of us turn to feminine and masculine energy work. A lot of us run on these wounded programs from childhood, and we grow up and we realize that the way that people have treated us growing up, we have accepted and adopted, and we have been treating ourselves like that. So a lot of us girls have been waiting for somebody to come save us, somebody to show up consistently. But life will continually happen so that you will meet people who don't show up for you consistently, so that you can finally face that wound of you having to show up for yourself. That's how these karmic lessons come about and really start to teach us to look into our soul and what is actually true for us. So if you're a woman and you struggle with showing up for yourself, you struggle with sticking to your plans, your goals, you struggle with discipline, it's because you have never been actually taught how to show up for yourself, and you don't actually feel worthy of the energy of being shown up for. So subconsciously, you repeat that over and over and over again. And the solution to that is that you realize, you're an adult now. You can't redo your childhood. You can't make people love you the way that you needed to be loved. You actually have to reparent yourself and break that karmic loop of your parents doing it to you and then you doing it to your child. Because when you can actually go within and fix it within yourself, you stop that cycle. And I don't even want to take it that far. It's not about healing it for your child. It's about healing it for yourself. You realize that the things you want, all your desires point you to a life and a version of yourself that needs to heal both these energies in order to get there. If you've never had that shown for yourself, you need to be the one to do it. That masculine safety and energy that you seek from other people, you need to do that for yourself. That is the key to your growth and to your healing. You start to realize that you don't need to wait for someone or outside circumstances to conform and make your goals happen, or for you to show up at the gym every day, or for you to do whatever habit you need to do to get to your goal. You don't need external forces or somebody outside of you to show up for you. You need to show up for yourself, for you, because that energy exists in the world. That healthy, structured, consistent masculine energy exists within you, and you actually just need to tap into it. You just need to know that you're capable of actually embodying it for you to heal. You need to know that it is accessible to you. Just because it wasn't accessible to your parents or your dad or whoever raised you doesn't mean that you aren't worthy of it. It just means that you need to teach yourself how to act on it and embody it and make it natural to yourself and your nervous system. A lot of us want things that we just don't know how to be and do. We don't know how to accept it. We don't know how to incorporate it into our lives, but we want it. And that's all we need to do. We just need to take time to actually know it's available to us and to know that you are actually capable of embodying it. Because once you actually heal and start expressing healthy masculine energy, your feminine will just start to flow naturally. You won't be as anxious because your systems are in place. You won't be as restless because you know you did the action that you were inspired to do. And the rest is up to your higher self.